Taylor Brooks, a dedicated school counselor, faced relentless discrimination and harassment from Principal Richard Hall. When Taylor courageously stood against Hall's injustice, their professional integrity and personal resilience were put to the ultimate test. As tensions rose, the community was forced to confront deep-rooted prejudice and systemic flaws. Watch how Taylor's bravery ignited profound institutional reforms, community healing, and lasting positive change. Do you believe Taylor did the right thing by standing up? Let us know your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories of courage and justice. Taylor Brooks arrived early at Pine Ridge High School, as always. Known for being meticulously punctual and thoroughly prepared, Taylor carefully checked the day's schedule. At 32 years old, Taylor was well respected not only as a professional counselor, but also as a supportive advocate within the LGBTQ community. Colleagues and students appreciated Taylor's calm demeanor, reliability, and strong moral compass. Taylor's modest office, nestled in a quiet corridor of the high school, was warmly decorated to provide comfort and safety for students. Inspirational posters and supportive LGBTQ resources adorned the walls, carefully chosen to reflect inclusivity and encouragement. Taylor had long believed the best counseling came from genuine empathy and a clear commitment to fostering understanding among young people. As the first bell rang, Taylor prepared notes and files carefully, knowing several students would visit for routine check-ins throughout the morning. Everything seemed normal, a day just like any other. At mid-morning, Principal Richard Hall, a tall man in his late 50s with a stern demeanor, entered Taylor's office unexpectedly. Hall had been principal at Pine Ridge for nearly a decade and wielded significant influence within the school district. Taylor immediately noticed Hall's critical gaze assessing the office decor, lingering pointedly on the prominently displayed LGBTQ support pamphlets and posters. "Good morning, Principal Hall," Taylor greeted politely, maintaining a calm and professional demeanor despite sensing immediate tension. "Morning, Taylor," Hall replied curtly, voice edged with subtle disdain. His eyes narrowed slightly. "I see you've got a lot of decorations here." Taylor remained composed, responding carefully yet confidently. "Yes, sir, I want students to know this office is always a safe and supportive place for everyone." Hall's mouth twitched slightly, masking discomfort beneath a thin smile. "Safe and supportive, sure, but are we absolutely certain these materials are appropriate for a school setting?" Taylor paused thoughtfully, choosing words carefully to keep the conversation professional. "All materials provided are approved educational resources, Principal Hall. Their intention is to help students feel respected and included." Hall sighed, shaking his head dismissively. "Just remember, Taylor, not every parent wants their child exposed to certain lifestyles. We must respect all viewpoints." Taylor's chest tightened slightly, recognizing the microaggression clearly masked beneath Hall's words. Despite this, Taylor maintained professional calmness. "I understand your perspective, Principal Hall, but as educators, our primary goal is student well-being and inclusivity." The principal's eyes hardened subtly, clearly displeased with Taylor's confident response. "Be mindful, Taylor, not everyone shares your beliefs." Hall exited abruptly, leaving Taylor momentarily unsettled yet determined. Carefully documenting the conversation immediately afterward, Taylor detailed the subtle hostility and discomfort caused by Hall's remarks. Taylor knew from past experiences that careful documentation was essential in situations like these. Throughout the day, Taylor continued counseling sessions professionally, despite lingering unease from Hall's earlier comments. Between appointments, Taylor reflected quietly, understanding clearly this wouldn't be an isolated incident. Taylor had encountered subtle biases before, each instance documented meticulously and handled with quiet strength. At lunch, Taylor joined fellow teachers in the staff lounge, maintaining usual composure. Vice Principal Sandra Miller, a respected administrator known for fairness, sat nearby. Sandra noticed Taylor's thoughtful expression immediately. "Everything all right, Taylor?" Sandra asked gently, sensing something amiss. Taylor hesitated briefly, then nodded calmly. "Principal Hall expressed concern about my office decor today, suggested some materials might be inappropriate." Sandra frowned, thoughtful yet unsurprised. "Hall can be traditional," she admitted quietly, "but your resources are vital for our students. I'll support you fully on that." "Thank you," Taylor responded sincerely, grateful for Sandra's immediate validation. "It's comforting to know someone else understands the importance of this." Sandra smiled warmly, patting Taylor's arm gently. "Always here for you." That afternoon, Taylor finished scheduled counseling sessions meticulously, genuinely supporting each student despite internal concerns. After school, Taylor attended a routine staff meeting in the main conference room. Principal Hall led the meeting, visibly confident as usual. During the meeting, Hall abruptly shifted topics, his voice subtly sharpened. "While we're here, I'd like to remind staff to avoid pushing personal agendas." Some parents have expressed discomfort about certain topics being overly emphasized. Taylor felt eyes subtly shift in their direction, recognizing clearly that Hall's pointed comment was intentionally targeting them. Remaining composed, Taylor listened quietly, refusing to outwardly acknowledge Hall's passive-aggressive provocation. Hall continued pointedly, "We must remember we're here for education, not to influence personal choices." A brief silence filled the room, uncomfortable and charged. Taylor maintained professional composure, calmly making careful mental notes to document Hall's public comments afterward. After the meeting concluded, several colleagues approached Taylor privately, offering subtle support and acknowledging discomfort over Hall's comments. Taylor appreciated their kindness deeply, feeling reassured that their dignity and professionalism remained evident to others. Back in their office, Taylor meticulously documented the day's incidents, carefully noting exact phrases used by Hall and listing colleagues present during each interaction. Taylor recognized clearly the importance of thorough, strategic documentation, aware this pattern would likely continue. Taylor departed Pine Ridge later that afternoon, still composed yet reflective. Home provided temporary solace, with family offering warmth and reassurance. Caring for younger siblings had always given Taylor a strong sense of purpose, reinforcing their deep-seated resilience and strategic approach to challenges. That evening, Taylor reflected thoughtfully on the day's events, recognizing clearly the significance of Hall's subtle aggressions. This wasn't simply a personal attack, it hinted at deeper, systemic issues within the school. Quietly determined, Taylor knew clearly this experience marked the beginning of a much larger challenge. With meticulous documentation, calm professionalism, and strategic responses, Taylor resolved firmly to confront this situation thoughtfully and decisively, committed fully to ensuring genuine justice, inclusivity, and meaningful change at Pine Ridge High School. The days following Principal Hall's initial remarks passed quietly, giving Taylor Brooks cautious hope that the confrontation might remain isolated. However, Taylor knew well enough to remain vigilant, aware that prejudices often linger beneath the surface. It wasn't long before Hall's subtle hostility resurfaced, becoming increasingly frequent and overt. Taylor began noticing additional scrutiny from Hall during counseling sessions. Occasionally, Hall would stop by unexpectedly observing sessions with an intensity that unsettled both Taylor and the students. Despite feeling uncomfortable, Taylor remained professional, ensuring each session provided genuine support to every student. One morning, Taylor arrived to find an email from Principal Hall requesting an urgent meeting in his office. Taylor felt a wave of apprehension but prepared calmly, gathering necessary documents and notes to ensure a clear, documented conversation. As Taylor entered Hall's office, the principal barely glanced up, motioning abruptly for Taylor to sit. The room felt tense, Hall's expression stern and impatient. "Taylor, we've received complaints," Hall began curtly, offering no greeting. "Several parents feel uncomfortable with the materials you're sharing with students." Taylor remained composed, responding calmly. "All materials provided are approved by the district and are educationally sound. My priority is ensuring all students feel safe and supported." Hall's expression darkened noticeably. "Your priority should align with community standards." "Not everyone supports your personal beliefs, Taylor. It's becoming an issue." Taylor paused thoughtfully before replying, maintaining a careful, steady tone. "Respectfully, Principal Hall, this isn't about personal beliefs. It's about ensuring that every student feels respected and included in our school environment." Hall leaned forward slightly, his voice lowering in a menacing manner. "I suggest you reconsider your approach. It would be unfortunate to escalate this further." Recognizing the clear threat beneath Hall's words, Taylor maintained composure. "My approach aligns fully with district guidelines and ethical counseling practices." Hall leaned back sharply, clearly displeased. "Dismissed," he snapped curtly, ending the conversation abruptly. Leaving Hall's office, Taylor immediately returned to their own space, carefully documenting every detail of the interaction. Taylor's mind raced, considering the broader implications and potential next steps. The increased hostility signaled an escalation Taylor had feared yet anticipated. Throughout that day, Taylor continued sessions as scheduled, ensuring students received attentive care. However, the lingering tension from the earlier meeting weighed heavily. Colleagues noticed Taylor's quiet introspection and offered silent gestures of support. At lunchtime, Vice Principal Sandra Miller approached discreetly, clearly concerned. "I heard Hall requested a private meeting," she began gently. "Are you all right?" Taylor nodded thoughtfully, grateful for Sandra's empathy. "He's pressuring me to remove certain materials, claims they're causing complaints." Sandra sighed softly, nodding knowingly. "He's been down this path before. Subtle threats, veiled warnings. Document everything, Taylor. I'll support you however I can." "Thank you, Sandra," Taylor replied sincerely, feeling genuinely reassured by Sandra's ongoing support. The following week, Hall's aggression intensified. He began openly criticizing Taylor's work during staff meetings, subtly suggesting Taylor promoted a personal agenda rather than student welfare. Colleagues glanced uncomfortably toward Taylor, many clearly disturbed by Hall's unprofessional tone, yet reluctant to challenge him openly. Determined, Taylor continued to document every incident meticulously. Each negative remark, veiled insult, and overt criticism was carefully recorded, along with witness names. Taylor also discreetly spoke with trusted colleagues, gathering their perspectives and encouraging them to document their observations. One evening, working late to prepare upcoming student workshops, Taylor heard footsteps approaching. Turning, Taylor saw Hall standing in the doorway, blocking the exit. His presence felt deliberately intimidating. Working late? Hall questioned sharply, eyes narrowed suspiciously. Taylor responded calmly, maintaining composure despite growing unease. Yes, just finishing preparations for student sessions. Hall stepped closer, voice low and threatening. I warned you about this agenda you're pushing. It's disruptive and unacceptable. Taylor steadied their breathing, responding with quiet determination. My work strictly follows district policies. If there's an issue, perhaps we should discuss it with the education board. Hall's jaw tightened visibly, clearly angered by Taylor's calm defiance. You're making a mistake, Taylor. I'm following protocol, Taylor replied evenly, refusing to show intimidation. Without another word, Hall abruptly left, leaving Taylor shaken yet determined. Immediately, Taylor noted every detail, carefully recording the intimidating encounter. Recognizing the escalation clearly, Taylor understood the necessity of bringing this documented evidence forward promptly. The next day, Taylor discreetly contacted Vice Principal Miller, requesting a private meeting. Sandra listened carefully as Taylor detailed recent events, visibly concerned by Hall's escalating hostility. This can't continue, Sandra affirmed firmly. We need to address this officially. I'll help arrange a meeting with district officials discreetly. Grateful for Sandra's proactive support, Taylor felt cautiously optimistic. They knew clearly that approaching district leadership was necessary yet challenging. Systemic biases weren't easily overcome, yet Taylor was determined to confront the issue transparently and professionally. Throughout the remainder of the week, Taylor prepared diligently, assembling documentation, witness statements, and clear evidence to present to district officials. Colleagues privately offered support, agreeing to provide formal statements if needed. The quiet solidarity reassured Taylor profoundly, reinforcing their resolve. Despite Hall's increasingly overt hostility, Taylor maintained calm professionalism, continuing counseling sessions with dedication and genuine care for students. The pressure was exhausting yet invigorating, as Taylor recognized the broader significance of their actions. Late one evening, after carefully finalizing their documentation, Taylor reflected quietly. The path ahead would undoubtedly involve challenges, yet Taylor felt genuinely prepared, armed with meticulous evidence, supportive colleagues, and unwavering resolve. Taylor clearly understood this escalation marked a critical turning point, the beginning of a larger journey toward justice and meaningful institutional change at Pine Ridge High School. As Taylor Brooks awaited the scheduled meeting with district officials, tension at Pine Ridge High School continued mounting. Principal Hall's antagonism intensified, increasingly overt and aggressive, casting a dark shadow over Taylor's daily responsibilities. Despite this, Taylor maintained professionalism, quietly collecting evidence and rallying quiet support from trusted colleagues. The morning of the meeting finally arrived. Taylor, accompanied by Vice Principal Sandra Miller, entered the district administration office with carefully organized documentation. The atmosphere felt heavy with significance, yet Taylor remained calm, confident in their meticulous preparation. Superintendent Michael Reed and two board members greeted them formally, their expressions serious yet neutral. Taylor, Sandra, thank you for bringing this matter to our attention, Superintendent Reed began professionally. We understand there's significant concern. Please present your experiences and evidence. Taylor took a steadying breath, beginning carefully. Thank you, Superintendent Reed. Over recent weeks, I've documented escalating hostility from Principal Hall, initially subtle but now increasingly overt. Taylor methodically presented evidence, clearly detailing specific incidents, witness testimonies, and documented interactions. As Taylor spoke calmly and clearly, board members listened attentively, visibly disturbed by the details emerging. Sandra Miller supplemented Taylor's presentation, firmly validating the incidents described. I've personally observed Principal Hall's behavior toward Taylor. It's deeply concerning and unprofessional. Superintendent Reed sighed deeply, clearly troubled. This information is serious and requires immediate attention. We'll begin an internal review and address this swiftly. In the meantime, Taylor, please continue your excellent work. We'll ensure you're supported appropriately. Taylor felt cautiously optimistic as they left the meeting, reassured profoundly by the board's serious response. Sandra offered an encouraging smile, gently placing a hand on Taylor's shoulder. "You handled that perfectly." Returning to Pine Ridge, Taylor resumed counseling duties with renewed determination, reassured by the district's commitment to investigate. However, news of the complaint quickly reached Hall, who reacted with immediate hostility. His demeanor grew increasingly volatile, noticeably unsettling staff members. One afternoon, as Taylor prepared to leave the school, Hall entered the office unexpectedly, closing the door abruptly. His face twisted with anger, voice tight with barely controlled rage. "You think you can go over my head?" Hall snarled, stepping aggressively closer to Taylor. "Do you understand who you're challenging?" Taylor steadied their breath, responding evenly despite feeling threatened. "Principal Hall, my goal has always been to maintain a supportive and respectful environment for our students. This issue needs official attention." Hall's fists clenched tightly, voice dangerously low. "You're not just risking your job, Taylor, you're risking your reputation. I will make sure everyone knows exactly who you are." Taylor stood firm, refusing intimidation. "My actions align with district policies and professional standards. Threatening me won't change that." Hall stepped closer, invading Taylor's personal space aggressively. "We'll see about that." Realizing the severity of Hall's intimidation, Taylor discreetly activated their phone's audio recorder, calmly yet carefully choosing their words. "Principal Hall, please step back and reconsider your approach. This isn't appropriate." Hall hesitated, suddenly wary, perhaps recognizing Taylor's calm professionalism hinted at potential evidence gathering. Frustrated yet cautious, Hall turned sharply away. "This isn't over," he snapped, exiting abruptly. Shaken but determined, Taylor immediately documented the confrontation, carefully preserving the audio recording and writing detailed notes. Clearly, Hall's aggression had reached an alarming new intensity. The following morning, Taylor discreetly updated Sandra Miller about Hall's recent intimidation. Sandra listened gravely, clearly recognizing the serious escalation. "We need to report this immediately," Sandra insisted firmly. "That behavior crosses a serious line." Together, they promptly informed district officials about Hall's threatening behavior, submitting the audio recording and detailed documentation. Superintendent Reed expressed immediate concern, promising swift action. In the days that followed, an official notice circulated within the school, stating clearly that Principal Hall was temporarily placed on administrative leave pending an official investigation. The news spread quickly, creating an atmosphere of cautious relief among staff members who had silently endured Hall's previous behaviors. Many colleagues approached Taylor privately, expressing profound gratitude and respect for Taylor's courage in confronting such entrenched hostility. Their supportive gestures deeply reassured Taylor, confirming the significance of standing firmly against discrimination. Despite the temporary reprieve, Taylor remained vigilant, recognizing clearly that systemic issues required sustained attention and continued documentation. Hall's removal offered temporary relief, but meaningful institutional change demanded ongoing effort. Taylor carefully continued counseling sessions, feeling genuine optimism yet mindful of remaining challenges ahead. The school atmosphere shifted noticeably, feeling lighter and more supportive, yet Taylor knew clearly this represented only an initial step toward genuine transformation. Late one evening, as Taylor prepared session notes at home, a quiet knock sounded at the door. Surprised, Taylor opened it cautiously to find Sandra Miller standing thoughtfully on the doorstep. "Sorry to come by unannounced," Sandra began gently, "but I wanted to check on you personally. How are you holding up?" Taylor smiled gratefully, inviting Sandra inside. "It's been difficult, but seeing the district take action is incredibly reassuring. I'm hopeful about real change." Sandra nodded warmly, clearly supportive. "Your courage and professionalism have inspired many people, Taylor. Never doubt the significance of what you've done." Taylor felt deeply encouraged by Sandra's thoughtful support. Their conversation continued comfortably, reflecting quietly on recent events, genuinely hopeful about the future. As the evening concluded, Taylor knew clearly their challenging experiences had genuinely sparked critical conversations, tangible actions, and meaningful institutional attention. Despite remaining uncertainties, Taylor felt profoundly prepared, equipped with meticulous evidence, unwavering professionalism, and quiet yet powerful community support. The recent confrontation marked a significant tipping point, clearly illustrating both the profound importance and meaningful impact of standing courageously against prejudice, hostility, and systemic discrimination at Pine Ridge High School. Following Principal Hall's placement on administrative leave, Pine Ridge High School experienced a period of cautious relief. Taylor Brooks, however, knew the journey was far from over. While Hall's immediate absence reduced daily tension, Taylor remained vigilant, carefully continuing to document every development meticulously. District investigators began their work swiftly, thoroughly reviewing Taylor's documentation, witness testimonies, and the recorded incident of intimidation. The seriousness of the allegations required a careful and methodical approach, which reassured Taylor deeply about the integrity of the investigation. Superintendent Reed maintained regular communication with Taylor, expressing genuine concern and support. Reed's transparent approach significantly bolstered Taylor's confidence in the fairness of the process. At school, colleagues who had previously hesitated now openly approached Taylor, offering encouragement and support. Teachers and staff began discussing systemic discrimination more openly, recognizing clearly that Hall's behavior represented deeper, institutional problems. Taylor felt deeply encouraged by this shift, understanding clearly their courageous stand had inspired critical dialogue within the school community. Vice Principal Sandra Miller assumed temporary leadership responsibilities, immediately prioritizing transparency, professionalism, and inclusivity. Under Sandra's thoughtful guidance, Pine Ridge began experiencing notable improvements in morale and trust. Taylor appreciated Sandra's supportive leadership, finding genuine encouragement in the school's evolving atmosphere. One afternoon, Taylor received an unexpected visit from a veteran teacher, Mr. Gregory Lane. Known for his reserved yet respected presence, Mr. Lane had rarely spoken openly about sensitive issues previously. "Taylor," he began cautiously, taking a seat carefully, "I wanted you to know you aren't alone. Hall has targeted others before quietly, subtly. Many were too afraid to speak out. Your bravery has inspired others to share their stories." Taylor listened attentively, deeply moved by Mr. Lane's admission. "Thank you for telling me this," Taylor responded sincerely. "Knowing others understand the importance of this issue means a lot." Mr. Lane nodded earnestly. "Your actions reminded me how crucial it is to speak up. If you need my testimony or support, it's yours." Throughout that week, several other staff members approached Taylor discreetly, each sharing personal experiences with Hall's previous discriminatory actions. Taylor carefully documented these conversations, respectfully encouraging colleagues to provide formal statements to district investigators. Simultaneously, the investigation revealed additional troubling evidence. Multiple complaints against Hall had previously been dismissed or quietly suppressed by the administration. Superintendent Reed shared these findings with Taylor and Sandra during a private meeting, clearly disturbed by the pattern that had emerged. "This isn't isolated," Reed admitted gravely. "We need systemic changes, not just disciplinary action against one individual. Taylor, your courage has highlighted broader institutional failures." Sandra agreed firmly. "Our staff need assurance that discrimination will no longer be tolerated or ignored." Taylor felt genuinely validated by their support. "Institutional reform is exactly what's needed," Taylor affirmed calmly. "Real change comes from addressing these issues transparently and consistently." Reed promised immediate action, announcing district-wide policy reviews, mandatory sensitivity training for all administrators, and clearer procedures for reporting discrimination. Taylor was deeply reassured by these decisive commitments. Despite the positive developments, Taylor recognized the emotional toll recent events had taken. Family members provided quiet, consistent support, their unwavering presence offering invaluable comfort and reassurance. Taylor's younger siblings expressed deep pride, inspired profoundly by Taylor's courageous example. One evening, after a particularly draining day, Sandra invited Taylor for coffee to discuss the ongoing developments informally. They met at a quiet cafe, speaking comfortably about both professional and personal experiences during this challenging period. "How are you truly feeling?" Sandra asked gently, clearly concerned. Taylor considered thoughtfully before responding. "Honestly, I'm exhausted but deeply hopeful. Seeing colleagues share their stories and the district taking meaningful action has reassured me profoundly." Sandra smiled warmly, nodding in understanding. "You've inspired incredible strength in others, Taylor. Remember to take care of yourself, too. Your resilience is impressive, but you don't have to carry this alone." Taylor felt genuine gratitude, appreciating Sandra's empathetic support. "Having your backing has made all the difference. Knowing I'm not alone gives me strength." Their conversation continued warmly, openly reflecting on recent changes and future hopes for Pine Ridge. Taylor clearly recognized their shared commitment toward creating a genuinely inclusive and respectful educational environment. As days turned into weeks, Pine Ridge continued its gradual transformation. Staff morale improved visibly, students benefited from increased support and transparency, and district-wide discussions on discrimination and inclusivity gained significant momentum. Taylor actively participated in these meaningful dialogues, clearly reinforcing the school's collective commitment to lasting change. Meanwhile, Principal Hall remained on administrative leave, his absence significantly felt yet clearly necessary. While his eventual fate remained undecided, Taylor focused carefully on institutional reforms, understanding clearly that meaningful systemic change demanded continuous effort and vigilance. District investigators officially concluded their inquiry, scheduling a formal meeting to announce their findings. Taylor, Sandra, and numerous staff members planned to attend, recognizing clearly the significance of this pivotal moment. On the eve of the announcement, Taylor felt both anxious and hopeful. Reflecting quietly at home, surrounded by supportive family, Taylor understood clearly the profound impact their courageous stand had inspired. Regardless of the immediate outcome, Taylor knew significant institutional change had already begun. Taylor prepared thoughtfully for the upcoming meeting, determined to face whatever outcomes emerged with calm professionalism. Deeply reassured by continuous support from colleagues, district leadership, and family, Taylor felt genuinely optimistic about Pine Ridge's future. This challenging journey had undeniably strengthened Taylor personally and professionally, clearly reinforcing their unwavering commitment to justice, inclusivity, and systemic reform. Taylor felt profoundly prepared for whatever lay ahead, confident that their actions had meaningfully inspired lasting, positive transformation within the school community. As Pine Ridge High School awaited the official announcement from district investigators, a sense of cautious optimism began to take root within the community. Taylor Brooks, however, remained vigilant, recognizing clearly that genuine institutional change often faced resistance. Principal Hall, despite being on administrative leave, began mounting a determined campaign to discredit Taylor. Using his extensive personal and professional networks, Hall spread carefully constructed narratives questioning Taylor's professional integrity and personal motivations. Rumors and distorted accounts quietly circulated among parents, school board members, and influential community figures. Taylor first learned of Hall's efforts when several concerned parents reached out directly, seeking clarity. Maintaining professional calmness, Taylor listened patiently to each inquiry, carefully providing clear, transparent explanations. These conversations reassured parents profoundly, confirming Taylor's genuine commitment to student well-being. Colleagues soon approached Taylor, deeply troubled by Hall's aggressive misinformation campaign. Vice Principal Sandra Miller convened an emergency staff meeting, clearly emphasizing the importance of unity, transparency, and mutual support amid Hall's attempts at division. "We must stand together," Sandra urged sincerely. "Taylor's courage brought significant issues to light, and we cannot allow misinformation to undermine the progress we've made." Teachers and staff members voiced firm agreement, pledging their unified support. Taylor felt profoundly moved by this collective resolve, recognizing clearly the strength inherent in shared conviction. Meanwhile, Superintendent Reed responded promptly, releasing a district-wide communication clarifying the official investigative process and emphasizing complete transparency. Reed firmly condemned misinformation and affirmed support for Taylor's professionalism and integrity. The message significantly reassured the community, dampening Hall's influence. Despite district efforts, Hall's campaign intensified, targeting social media platforms and leveraging personal connections to amplify false narratives. The escalation weighed heavily on Taylor, who quietly endured personal distress yet remained outwardly composed and professionally dedicated. One particularly difficult evening, Taylor received a phone call from Sandra. "Taylor, I want you to know we're fully aware of what Hall's doing," she began gently, clearly concerned. "The district is preparing an official response to counter these attacks." Taylor sighed softly, expressing genuine gratitude for Sandra's unwavering support. "This has been incredibly draining, Sandra. Knowing you're standing with me makes a huge difference." "You're not alone," Sandra reassured firmly. "We'll get through this together." As days passed, more community members and educators rallied openly around Taylor, publicly challenging Hall's false claims. Local media began covering the unfolding conflict extensively, conducting independent inquiries that consistently confirmed Taylor's professionalism and integrity. Several parents publicly shared personal stories highlighting Taylor's positive impact on students, effectively countering Hall's damaging narratives. This grassroots community support deeply moved Taylor, providing genuine reassurance amid ongoing challenges. At school, students also demonstrated remarkable maturity and solidarity. Many openly expressed appreciation for Taylor's unwavering commitment, thoughtfully reflecting on broader themes of integrity, courage, and social justice. Taylor felt profoundly encouraged by this youth-led support, clearly recognizing their experiences had genuinely inspired meaningful reflection among students. Simultaneously, the district officially released the investigation's findings, publicly validating Taylor's accounts and condemning Principal Hall's behavior unequivocally. The report clearly identified systemic issues requiring immediate reform, outlining comprehensive measures designed to address discrimination transparently and effectively. Superintendent Reed personally addressed the community in a televised conference, reinforcing clear institutional commitments to inclusivity, transparency, and accountability. Reed explicitly acknowledged Taylor's courage and professionalism, firmly affirming the district's complete support. Despite the official validation, Hall continued privately resisting accountability, persistently spreading misinformation. Recognizing the ongoing threat, district leadership and staff members intensified collective efforts, publicly countering Hall's narratives and reaffirming institutional commitments consistently. Taylor carefully documented all developments, meticulously gathering evidence of Hall's continued harassment and misinformation. Taylor knew clearly that maintaining thorough documentation remained crucial in safeguarding professional integrity and institutional progress. Community engagement increased significantly, with parents, educators, students, and local leaders actively discussing discrimination, accountability, and systemic reform. Taylor participated thoughtfully in these ongoing dialogues, consistently emphasizing dignity, transparency, and collective responsibility. One afternoon, after a particularly supportive community meeting, Taylor reflected quietly with Sandra. "Seeing the community respond so strongly has genuinely encouraged me," Taylor remarked sincerely. "It reinforces my belief that meaningful change is possible." Sandra nodded warmly, genuinely supportive. "Your strength and professionalism have inspired remarkable solidarity, Taylor. This experience has significantly changed our community for the better." Taylor deeply appreciated Sandra's thoughtful support, feeling genuinely reassured by their shared optimism and determined perseverance. As Hall's influence steadily diminished, genuine institutional reforms gained significant momentum. Comprehensive anti-discrimination training sessions began promptly, clear reporting channels were established, and regular accountability reviews were scheduled district-wide. Taylor actively contributed to these critical initiatives, thoughtfully providing insights and reflections drawn from personal experiences. Privately, Taylor felt increasingly hopeful, recognizing clearly the profound significance of their challenging journey. Despite personal hardships, Taylor clearly understood that their courageous stand had genuinely inspired critical conversations, significant institutional reforms, and profound community solidarity. Reflecting quietly at home one evening, surrounded by supportive family, Taylor genuinely felt profound pride and cautious optimism. Their younger siblings frequently expressed heartfelt admiration, profoundly inspired by Taylor's unwavering strength and thoughtful perseverance. This challenging experience had undeniably strengthened Taylor personally and professionally, clearly reinforcing their deep commitment to justice, inclusivity, and systemic reform. Taylor felt genuinely prepared for ongoing challenges, profoundly reassured by continuous community support, meaningful institutional commitments, and unwavering personal resolve. Taylor clearly understood the lasting significance of their courageous stand, recognizing genuinely the profound positive impacts their thoughtful perseverance had inspired throughout Pine Ridge High School and beyond. With the official findings released and the community mobilized in support, Pine Ridge High School braced itself for the climactic school board hearing, the final step in publicly addressing Principal Hall's misconduct. Taylor Brooks approached the event calmly, carefully prepared and reassured by extensive documentation and overwhelming community support. On the evening of the hearing, the school's auditorium filled quickly with educators, parents, students, and concerned community members. Local media crews positioned themselves strategically, ensuring broad public visibility. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation and seriousness, reflecting clearly the significance of the occasion. Taylor arrived early, accompanied by Vice Principal Sandra Miller and several supportive colleagues. The warm greetings and encouraging nods from attendees profoundly reassured Taylor, reinforcing their resolve. Taylor felt genuinely grateful for the solidarity and courage demonstrated by those gathered. Superintendent Reed opened the hearing formally, clearly outlining the purpose and procedures. "We gather tonight to transparently address allegations of professional misconduct against Principal Richard Hall," Reed explained firmly. "Our goal is accountability, clarity, and meaningful institutional reform." Principal Hall, accompanied by a personal attorney, sat stoically, appearing outwardly confident yet clearly uncomfortable beneath the community's intense scrutiny. Taylor was invited to speak first, standing calmly and confidently before the assembled crowd. Taylor's voice remained steady and clear, carefully recounting each documented incident, providing precise dates, times, and witness accounts. The meticulous detail in Taylor's presentation profoundly impressed attendees, clearly demonstrating professionalism, transparency, and integrity. Throughout this experience, Taylor concluded sincerely, my goal has remained constant to ensure every student at Pine Ridge feels safe, respected, and supported. It's time for genuine institutional accountability and meaningful change. The audience responded with heartfelt applause, clearly moved by Taylor's composed courage and unwavering dedication. Next, Sandra Miller spoke thoughtfully, firmly corroborating Taylor's account and emphasizing broader systemic issues within the school's administrative culture. Taylor's experiences are not isolated, Sandra asserted clearly. Multiple colleagues have witnessed or experienced similar discriminatory behavior. Institutional change is urgently required. Several teachers and parents followed, sharing personal stories that reinforced the troubling pattern of Hall's behavior. Each testimony provided additional weight to Taylor's meticulously documented experiences, significantly bolstering the case against Hall. Principal Hall's attorney attempted a defensive stance, questioning Taylor's intentions and professionalism. However, the meticulously collected evidence and consistent community testimonies quickly undermined these attempts, clearly demonstrating Taylor's credibility and Hall's misconduct. Hall himself eventually addressed the gathering, visibly strained yet maintaining defiance. I have always prioritized this school's reputation and community values, he claimed firmly. My actions were misunderstood and misrepresented. The crowd reacted audibly, skepticism evident. Superintendent Reed intervened respectfully, prompting Hall about specific incidents backed by undeniable documentation. Under questioning, Hall's facade slowly crumbled, forced to acknowledge incidents previously denied or minimized. As the hearing progressed, it became increasingly clear that Hall's previous denials and misinformation were indefensible against overwhelming evidence. The audience listened attentively, clearly recognizing the profound significance of witnessing genuine accountability in action. Finally, Superintendent Reed summarized the district's comprehensive investigation findings, unequivocally confirming Hall's misconduct and affirming the validity of Taylor's experiences. Reed announced immediate actions, including Hall's permanent removal from Pine Ridge High School and significant systemic reforms aimed at preventing future misconduct. The announcement received immediate, powerful applause, reflecting the community's profound relief and clear support for meaningful institutional change. Privately, Taylor felt deeply reassured, profoundly encouraged by the transparent accountability and institutional commitment demonstrated. Taylor understood clearly the significance of their courageous stand, recognizing genuinely the powerful community impact their experiences had inspired. Following the hearing, many community members approached Taylor warmly, expressing sincere gratitude and heartfelt respect. Students, parents, and educators alike praised Taylor's professionalism, courage, and unwavering dedication to genuine inclusivity and justice. Sandra Miller embraced Taylor warmly, deeply moved. Your courage and integrity have profoundly transformed Pine Ridge, Sandra remarked sincerely. We're incredibly grateful for everything you've done. Taylor smiled warmly, genuinely appreciative. It took all of us standing together, Taylor responded thoughtfully. This experience has shown clearly what collective courage and commitment can achieve. Returning home later that evening, Taylor felt profound relief and cautious optimism. Family members welcomed Taylor warmly, clearly proud and deeply supportive. Taylor's younger siblings expressed heartfelt admiration, profoundly inspired by Taylor's thoughtful perseverance and courageous stand. Reflecting quietly that evening, Taylor recognized genuinely the profound significance of their challenging journey. Despite considerable personal hardships, Taylor clearly understood their experiences had sparked critical conversations, inspired meaningful institutional reforms, and profoundly impacted community solidarity. Taylor felt genuinely prepared for ongoing challenges, profoundly reassured by continuous community support, meaningful institutional commitments, and unwavering personal resolve. Taylor clearly understood the lasting significance of their courageous stand, recognizing genuinely the profound positive impacts their thoughtful perseverance had inspired throughout Pine Ridge High School and beyond. This pivotal hearing marked a critical turning point, undeniably illustrating the profound importance of accountability, transparency, and meaningful collective action. Taylor genuinely felt profound pride and cautious optimism, clearly recognizing their experiences had inspired genuine, lasting, positive institutional and community change. In the weeks following the climactic hearing, Pine Ridge High School entered a phase of profound reflection and tangible transformation. With Principal Hall officially removed from his position, the school community began actively implementing the systemic reforms outlined by Superintendent Reed. Taylor Brooks, at the heart of this profound change, continued playing an essential role, deeply committed to ensuring lasting improvements. New leadership, guided thoughtfully by Vice Principal Sandra Miller, prioritized transparency, accountability, and inclusivity. The immediate shift in administrative culture significantly boosted morale, clearly reassuring students and educators alike. Teachers felt renewed freedom to openly discuss discrimination, implicit biases, and inclusive practices, inspired genuinely by Taylor's courageous stand. Taylor actively participated in district-wide initiatives, frequently consulting on training programs and policy updates designed explicitly to prevent future misconduct. Taylor's thoughtful insights, drawn directly from personal experiences, significantly enriched these critical conversations, clearly underscoring the profound importance of accountability and inclusive education. Community engagement remained robust, with parents and local leaders continuing meaningful discussions around institutional reforms and social justice. Taylor regularly attended community meetings, consistently emphasizing collective responsibility, transparency, and continuous improvement. Privately, Taylor began experiencing profound personal healing, deeply supported by family, colleagues, and the broader community. Younger siblings frequently expressed heartfelt admiration, genuinely inspired by Taylor's unwavering courage and thoughtful perseverance. One evening, during a family dinner, Taylor's younger sister, Emma, quietly shared her reflections. "I'm so proud of you, Taylor," Emma remarked sincerely. "Seeing your bravery has taught me the importance of standing up, even when it's hard." Taylor smiled warmly, deeply moved. "Thank you, Emma. Knowing I've inspired you means more than you realize." Real change starts with small, courageous steps. At school, students demonstrated remarkable maturity, actively organizing inclusive clubs, community service projects, and respectful dialogue forums inspired directly by recent events. Witnessing these positive youth-led initiatives profoundly encouraged Taylor, clearly illustrating the lasting impact their experiences had inspired. Sandra Miller frequently expressed deep appreciation for Taylor's ongoing dedication, reinforcing their collaborative partnership and shared commitment to continuous improvement. "Your professionalism and courage set an example for all of us," Sandra remarked thoughtfully one afternoon. "Pine Ridge is genuinely better because of you." Taylor felt deeply reassured by Sandra's sincere acknowledgement, profoundly grateful for their supportive professional bond. Superintendent Reed maintained regular communication, carefully updating Taylor on district-wide reforms and actively seeking Taylor's insights. Reed's consistent transparency and accountability profoundly reassured Taylor, clearly demonstrating genuine institutional commitment to meaningful progress. 6 months after the hearing, the school district hosted a community event celebrating significant progress and reaffirming ongoing commitments to institutional reforms. Taylor, invited respectfully to address attendees, spoke clearly and thoughtfully about the collective achievements and ongoing challenges. "Our journey doesn't end here," Taylor asserted genuinely. "Lasting change requires continuous vigilance, collective accountability, and unwavering dedication to inclusivity. Together, we've made significant progress, but our commitment must remain constant." Attendees responded warmly, profoundly moved by Taylor's thoughtful reflections and steadfast resolve. Superintendent Reed formally recognized Taylor's exceptional courage and professionalism, presenting a special commendation honoring their significant contributions to institutional reform and community healing. Taylor accepted humbly, genuinely appreciative of the profound community support and thoughtful recognition. Reflecting quietly afterward, Taylor clearly understood the lasting significance of their experiences, genuinely recognizing the profound positive impacts their courageous stand had inspired. Privately, Taylor's personal healing deepened significantly, genuinely reassured by meaningful institutional progress and unwavering community support. Family members continued providing profound emotional comfort and genuine encouragement, clearly reinforcing Taylor's resilience and optimism. At Pine Ridge High School, tangible improvements became clearly evident, deeply reassuring educators, students, and parents. Systemic reforms, carefully guided by comprehensive policies, transparent accountability measures, and inclusive educational practices, profoundly transformed the school culture positively. One afternoon, Sandra and Taylor reflected privately, deeply encouraged by the clear evidence of lasting progress. "This school has genuinely changed for the better," Sandra remarked sincerely. "Your courage inspired these profound improvements, Taylor." Taylor smiled warmly, deeply appreciative. "Collective courage and shared commitment made this possible. I'm genuinely hopeful about Pine Ridge's future." As Taylor continued their dedicated work, thoughtful reflections reinforced profound optimism and cautious confidence. The challenging experiences had undeniably strengthened Taylor personally and professionally, clearly reinforcing their unwavering dedication to justice, inclusivity, and continuous systemic reform. Taylor genuinely recognized the lasting significance of their courageous stand, understanding profoundly that meaningful institutional change required ongoing effort, vigilance, and collective responsibility. Reassured deeply by continuous community support, meaningful institutional commitments, and personal resolve, Taylor felt genuinely prepared for ongoing challenges and opportunities. Reflecting quietly at home one evening, surrounded by supportive family, Taylor genuinely felt profound pride and cautious optimism. Their challenging journey had undeniably sparked critical conversations, meaningful reforms, and lasting positive transformations at Pine Ridge High School and within the broader community. Taylor Brooks clearly understood their courageous stand had profoundly influenced institutional practices, community dialogue, and personal reflections, genuinely inspiring lasting accountability, inclusivity, and meaningful collective action. Their thoughtful perseverance had undeniably created significant, lasting, positive impacts, genuinely fostering profound healing, meaningful institutional change, and sustained community engagement.